Mr. Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Administrator Milgram, good to see you again. It dawned on me you have probably one of the most unenviable positions in the country right now. I don't envy you of your job. It's like being a goalie where your own coach is actually calling plays to score against you right now, and it's got to be very frustrating. You don't have to comment on that, but we do have a president right now that has an open border policy. You do work for an attorney general that has effectively relegated the DEA to be, in his words, the very end of the line with a public affairs mission or campaign. This has got to be very frustrating for you. And what that inference is that your job is to focus on the demand side and not the supply side, which is literally the opposite of what the DEA is supposed to do. Your job description has the word enforcement in it. So we look forward as a subcommittee to giving you the tools to do your job, which is the enforcement side, to make sure that we can catch the bad guys, stop the cartels, and give you the resources despite the leadership above you. And by the way, AG Garland gave himself an A in front of this committee just a couple of weeks ago, which was, in my opinion, offensive to the victims of fentanyl. I was going to ask you if we're winning or losing this war against fentanyl, but I think that the metrics are self-evident. We're losing this war right now, and I think it's okay for you to say that you're not pleased. I think the chairman asked that several times because I don't think any of us are pleased with the number of deaths that we're seeing as a result of this poison coming across our borders. Last year, you responded to Mr. Klein's testimony. He asked if you would commit to calling China a major illicit drug trafficking or producing country. I'm assuming, and you answered in the negative in that questioning, I'm assuming now that the PRC has been put on the major drug transit and illicit drug producing company list, that you would say the PRC is actually a country that we should be targeting as such?
Yes, Congressman. The majors list was changed to include precursor chemicals. And so Congress, along with the State Department, has listed China as a source of fentanyl production from those precursors.
We appreciate your support on the communication up the chain of command for that. We talked about the fact that some Chinese companies have been charged to this date. You have a $500 million budget footprint for foreign international companies going after those folks. Can you talk about if that budget is fulfilled, what does that mission look like, and how do we continue on that? And I used the metaphor, I think, last year in this hearing, that if we had a small or a large ship, a slow-moving ship crossing the Pacific full of VX gas coming from China, we would stop that ship before it got to the port of Long Beach or Mexican port inbound for the U.S. Borders. Talk to us about the sort of TTPs and the policies that this $500 million will enable for us.
Thank you so much, Congressman. If I could start by just saying one thing about demand as well, because I sit in a lot of rooms across the United States and across the world where people talk about demand, and we very much understand substance use disorder. What we are seeing happening in the United States is not demand-driven, and I want to be really clear that this is the cartels that are driving what we're seeing. That's why they're hiding fentanyl and other drugs. That's why they're pressing fentanyl into fake pills. That's why they're not selling fentanyl as though it were fentanyl. So I think it is a really important point. We do a lot of work around, we do work around public awareness. One pill can kill, because the cartels are being so deceptive about how they're trying to get these drugs to Americans. Talking about, your analogy of stopping the ship, I think is a great way to think about the analogy. What we have done over the past 2 years is try to map these criminal networks so we can get proactive and get in front of them. I believe that we will not be effective unless we are able to target these networks proactively. We cannot wait until the harm has happened or until there's a particular thing that happens to galvanize us. So what we do with the foreign work is vital to DEA. We're in we're in 69 countries right now, more than 90 offices around the world. All of those offices, their number one focus is the United States of America and the harm happening to the U.S. Of course, we assist our foreign partners with their local issues, but our prime work across the globe is how do we stop the fentanyl threat? How do we stop these two cartels? So having mapped, and I see the map in the committee, and I look at it, and I think about the map that the teams have done showing 50 countries that the cartels are active. So we're working in multiple countries across the globe and with many foreign partners.
I just want to thank you, because in LA, we have a district attorney that won't charge fentanyl dealers with murder if they deal known poisoned pills or corrupted pills. So we are able to raise those at the federal level under the DEA, and we really appreciate the ability to do that. And your comments that this is not demand-driven is not lost on us. This is policy-driven, and education is key, but we appreciate everything that you and the agents in the field are doing to mitigate this as much as possible. I yield back. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Clyde?